Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a giant game. With 96 tracks, I decided to play it recently and try to rank all the tracks. I was going to do it in order of, worst to best, but I decided to do it more of a tier list fashion because there's way too many and I did not want this to be 2 to 3 hours long. So I replayed them all, ranked them all, and now we're putting it into a somewhat of a tier list. You'll see that video right now, but here we are. I hope you guys enjoy it. It's a little bit different style I got, a little bit more informal, but let me know what you guys think of it. Here you go. Moving in, talking about probably my least favorite track, I would have to say is Donut Plains 3. So I gotta find that one first. Donut Plains 3, that's gotta be probably my least favorite track. I never liked this in multiplayer. Playing it on time trials also really didn't have effect too. It isn't fun. I'm not a big fan of the early game tracks. I appreciate what they did visually, how the tracks look overall. I don't like it. A lot of the SNES ones, I hate the stupid patches of mud. The turns are kind of annoying to deal with. Kind of a difficult track for the Banana Cup, I believe that was in, which is like the second tier of retro tracks that in the game. So weird they have that is for sure. Moving on though, another one, we're going to see a trend here, also from SNES in my same kind of tier, I would say Rainbow Road. Yeah, Rainbow Roads are hit or miss for me. I found out I either really love them or I pretty much hate them. And this is one of the ones where I dislike quite a bit. This is probably my least favorite, with another one being a very runner-up for least favorite Rainbow Road. I don't really care for it. I mean, some people might like the visuals. Once again, they did touch it up. That's nice. I don't care for the thwomps. Just the turning's not fun. I don't want to make it seem like it really sounds like some of these tracks are like, oh, I'm bad at track, therefore I hate it. I just don't like the design. I don't care for turns. I think I like tracks that can do tricky turns, and if you can get that down, I don't like the no borders kind of thing, and I also think about A, doing time trials, and B, playing with friends or CPUs and stuff, and the track feels very not good for multiplayer, especially when there's a lot of hectic crap going on with all the items that they have, especially in Mario Kart 8, so yeah, another reason why I don't really care for it. So another one that this is finally getting out of SNES one. I've always hated this one. Not sure how other people feel about it, but Super Bell Subway is also up there in one of my least favorite. For a while, I'd call it my least favorite. I teeter on this one. I'd probably say these three all just kind of share my least favorite tracks. I don't like this one. I feel like it's any of the... You're driving on a busy road where there's other traffic. There's a lot of these tracks where you're like going against the traffic of cars. Moonview Highway, Toad's Turnpike, those kind of tracks. They're fine. I have some up higher up there, and some can do them pretty well, some can do them alright. This one just didn't really hit it. The subway, I don't know. Trying to get hit by the trains. Maybe it's just because, you get hit by a car. Cars are a lot less long than a subway train. So I don't really care for that, and I really can't. I don't know. This track I kind of get mad at irrationally. You get stuck in a train, you get hit by it. It's just infuriating and frustrating. Not good. I don't like it. It is definitely my least favorite out, especially the the original tracks they brought into Mario Kart 8 and its deluxe edition. So, yeah, get that out of here. Mario Circuit for the GBA is up next. Now I gotta find where that is. Yeah, I'll still put this in trash. The loop they added for the 360 mechanic in... Not the 360, Zero Gravity mechanic, my bad. Zero Gravity mechanic they added in Mario Kart 8. It's cool, like, the first time you go around it. Other than that, it's extremely forgettable. I am cool with the retro tracks. I like the retro tracks. I think bringing back some really good classics are good. However, especially with the DLC, I'll get to some of these soon, I don't know why we had to keep recycling constant circuits. Mario Circuit, Luigi Circuit, Daisy Circuit, Toad Circuit. Why do these exist? Most of them are extremely unremarkable tracks that just have like Mario or other character theming, and this one doesn't really even have Mario theming if I can remember. At least some of the newer games do stuff to try to you know, emphasize a character if it's based off of them and it's just a generic circuit. So this is definitely some of my least favorite tracks in terms of visual design, and I just don't really care for it. Maybe it's a little harsh. I might maybe move this up to bad in the E tier, but that's just kind of how I feel about it. But I will actually put something lower. It's Wario Stadium. I hate Wario Stadium. I never really thought this one was outstanding, but I know the one that was the tipping point for me was time trials on this one. I spent so long trying to perfect the time trials, beating the ghost for this. It is infuriating and annoying. I don't like it. I don't know. I don't mind the stadium tracks, some of the other ones they have. The one from the 64, I'm blanking on its name, but I think it's very, very fun. They have I think a Waluigi Stadium later on too. That one's okay. That one's a little better. This one I just don't like, and it probably did this to myself that it's gotten this slow, but the constant replaying of this track makes me hate it. I never want to play it again. That's kind of it. So screw you, Ghost, CPU Ghost that I had to race constantly. Trying to beat all the Ghost data really wanted me to pull my hair out, that's for sure. Another one, here we go, Rainbow Road. This one is for the Wii. I feel like I am in a minority in this kind of aspect where I dislike this track, and I feel a lot of people like the Rainbow Roads, and especially this one. I don't hate it as much as I did in the Wii version. When I played Wii, I hate this track. I feel like it's a little better. Maybe it's just because you're kind of dealing with Mario Kart Wii's controls and, you know, with the somewhat forced motion controls, unless you were, you know, especially with like the Wiimote and stuff. It's not super great. I think it's kind of unremarkable, especially for Rainbow Roads. It just doesn't do much that I care for, and I feel like it's just one of those things that's like, it feels like it really tries to get you with turns, make you fall out of the track. I don't like it. I don't know. That's kind of it. Neo Bowser City, 3DS. This is another one where I don't know. I feel like a lot of people might like this track. I don't. I hate it. I hated it when it came out on Mario Kart 7. I hate it now. I don't know why this one keeps coming back. Aesthetically, it looks cool. That's fine. I don't like the constant turning. The rainy track just kind of throws me off. It's just, it feels like you gotta have very tight turns, and when you're trying to constantly race against, you know, dozens, or not dozens, but a lot of other racers, yeah, I don't care for it. It doesn't really do anything. And also, like, it does look cool, but, like, you know what it's supposed to be. It's just a futuristic city that has Bowser slapped onto it. I don't know. I feel like it just doesn't really, besides having a cool generic presence, it doesn't have much in the way of Bowser. I never really liked this track ever. It's just too, like, wavy. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, but I just don't like constantly turning and stuff. I mean, I'm cool with obstacles, just not having to constantly drift back and forth. It's just not fun. But, yeah. Another one, SNES, Mario Circuit 3 for the SNES. Once I find it, I'll be able to explain a little bit more. Okay, Mario Circuit 3. Similar to Mario Circuit on the GBA. Why do we have so many circuits? This one I think came in the DLC. I just don't understand why it's here. It just feels like a track, like a filler track. There's a lot of tracks that they didn't put in that would have put in totally more remarkable than this one. And that's really why it's down here. I play it, I'm like, I'll never seek this track out. I'm like, ooh, Mario Circuit 3 from the SNES, that's a banger. It's really not. I mean, if you, maybe design-wise it's not terrible. I don't really know. I don't even really, can't tell you what the track feels like. The only reason I could stick out Mario Circuit is because of the zero gravity portion that they added into 8, but that's more of a revamp. Playing this, I just have no desire to ever go back to it unless I'm playing in like a Grand Prix mode, so I have to go through it in terms of the cup. So, but just choosing a track to replay, definitely not up there. Definitely not what I'm thinking of. So, while making this video, I realized that this tier list took way too long to make, so I am going to just cover a lot of the middle tracks because I don't really have much to say on a lot of them. You'll know that I like them. Basically, ranking these off of things like difficulty, how I feel about the difficulty, how their design is, how they played, all that, and just general feel, music, visuals, all that stuff in there. So I'm just going to rapid fire these ones, starting from the bad tier list in level E, going to D and C, and I'll see you back here in this actual track. We'll start back up at B, because I feel like I actually have something to say about a lot of these ones as opposed to the rest. So, we're going to start with tier E, which I consider to be, well, kind of bad. We got Tour Berlin Byways, GBA's Cheeseland Tour Bangkok Rush, GBA's Ribbon Road, Tour's New York Minute, Sweet Sweet Canyon from base, GameCube's Dry Dry Desert, Tours Los Angeles Laps, and base Dolphin Shoals. In D tier for mid, I would consider Mario Circuit from base, SNES Bowser Castle 3, Tours Tokyo Blur, Tour Paris Promenade, Wii Daisy Circuit, Wii Moo Moo Meadows, Tour Sydney Sprint, Tour London Loop, Tour Madrid Drive. Do you see a pattern with the tour tracks at least? Twisted Mansion from the base, GameCube's Waluigi Stadium, 3DS's DK Jungle, Merry Mountain from Tour and base, Animal Crossing from the base, Wii's Moonview Highway. Probably the biggest and most hefty of all of them, solid C tier. These are ones that I think considered to be pretty good. Mario Kart Stadium, 3DS's Rosalina's Ice World, 3DS's Toad Circuit, Cheap Cheap Beach from the DS, N64's Royal Raceway, Rainbow Road from base, Bone Dry Dunes from base, DS's Shroom Ridge, GameCube's Sherbert Land, Tour's Vancouver Velocity Toad Harbor from base, Wii's Grumble Volcano, Tour's Singapore Speedway, Bowser's Castle from base, Wii's Wario Gold Mine, Thwomp Ruins from base, Tours Rome Avanti, Sky High Sunday from base, GBA Sunset Wilds, Hyrule Circuit, Piranha Plant Cove, Squeaky Clean Sprint, and GBA's Snowland. Apologies for the cut here, though I do think that's going to be better off because I rambled on for way too long trying to talk about everything else. So we'll go back to regularly scheduled time here, where I can talk about the rest of these tracks, starting with B tier and moving upward, because I feel like I at least have something better to say than just it is a track that simply exists. Alright, I think I'm going to move it from the solid tracks and go into good tracks, or hype tracks. These are ones I think are probably very good, and I really like them, as opposed to being like, yep, they're alright. So, next, in starting up, also reaching 40, so these are the top 40 tracks in these top 3 tiers here, are, I would probably have to say, is Peach Gardens next. Interesting how they did this the last lap. They make you kind of go a different way throughout the track, which is a kind of a cool twist to it. The chain chomp gets loose, but it's a cool track to drive around on. A bunch of like hedge maze you have to drive around through. It's a nice visual track. It's fun to drive on. It's a good track from the DS. I'm glad they brought it back. So nothing really crazy bad. I like it. It's a good track. Moving on, we got Calamari Desert, and I'll just hit it up. Choco Mountain from N64. Both are side by side. I couldn't tell which one I like really more, so I'll put them in the same tier. I like them. Almost a lot of N64 tracks I do not dislike, so hence why they're all here. A lot of nostalgia reasons, obviously, for me, but the Choco Mountain, I'll start with that one. I guess visually it's less. You're just driving on a mountain that is brown, and I guess it's supposed to be chocolate or something. It's just a fun track. I like the song. It's a good song that plays through. Yeah. Calamari Desert, you're driving in a desert with a giant train that goes through, obviously thematically. That's just a cool standout thing that I remember from the 64 days. Of course, they do another twist in this one where you drive onto the train track and go into the tunnel, something you didn't do in the original. So seeing that for the first time was pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know. It was also like kind of just fun getting stopped by the train and like, you know, seeing if you could beat the train. It felt like just that kind of race to not get stuck by the train really put you at a disadvantage. So it's a good track. I like it a lot. Next is Big Blue. So this is a high jump from anything else in that same cup. But Big Blue is a very cool track. It's a 3-tiered track that's just 3 sections, but it's a race coming from F-Zero. While it has F-Zero sound effects, nothing like coins. It still have the regular Mario coins, but they have these boost pads that are similar to F-Zero's, where you can get coins instead of just a boost, but you also get some bit of a boost. Regardless, yeah, it's fun. These tracks are really good, and it kind of shows that they really should do more F-Zero games, because it is make you feel like you're going fast. It's a good design track. And it's just a fun romp to go through. I just hate that you have to go through the rest of Super Bell Subway, or the Bell Cup with Super Bell Subway. Just did you know I hate Super Little Subway? I bet you do. Yoshi's Valley N64. I don't know. I can't remember why they did this in the N64 game, but having the maybe it's because they couldn't register who was in the lead with how the very complex and windy the track was. But I like it. It's such a cool idea. I don't know how intentional it was, but like you don't know which path it is, at least you know when you first plan it. So there's just so many different branching pathways, and you could just be like going in a very not ideal path. But it's fun to drive on. Obviously, it's a lot easier to tell which person's in the lead there, and most people know the more ideal paths to go on. So it becomes just a race on that. So I feel like a little bit of magic lost as a kid for me, where I didn't know I was going and which way is the right way. Well, I don't know. Yeah. It's just a nostalgic track for me, and I really like it, hence why I'm putting it up here. Something about the remake just didn't do it as much for me, probably. Just nostalgia again. Athens Dash is one of the better tour ones. I am a big Greek kind of mythology person, so I'm cool with seeing Greek stuff here. And going into Athens, it's a cool little romp to it. Once again, it really breaks a lot of the conventions of the just, hey, you're driving in a city, here's streets and that stuff, so I'm alright with that. I'm cool that it's here. Awesome track. It's a very good tour track. So, Boot Lake GBA. I'm mad that we don't have Banshee Boardwalk from 64. This is an alright replacement. I would have put Banshee Boardwalk in a lot higher of a tier because I really love that track, and I'm a little sad it didn't show up. But Boot Lake is solid. It kind of has the same haunted pier aesthetic to it, and it's cool. I like it. It's a good track. It's fun. It's a good GBA track, so it's just a fun, replayable, super good romp through it. So, moving on is Rainbow Road from the 3DS. It's a good Rainbow Road track. I don't have much bad to say about it. I think visually, it's one of the best looking ones. You get to drive on planets, which is super cool. It's got a tier system instead of laps, so I like how it's very different, unique, kind of going on to it. It's just a good track from Rainbow Road, the Rainbow Road side, and it's just a good 3DS track. So I'm glad they brought this one back. Really wish this would have been the Ender instead of the Wii Rainbow Road, but maybe people like that one better. I don't know. Toad's Turnpike N64. This is just pretty good track that they turned pretty iconic in this game with the zero gravity, where you get to drive on the sides of the turnpike, the highway there. It's cool. I love the track. I remember it being super difficult, but of course they made it a lot easier in this one so that you can avoid most traffic. Maybe it was just really bad at swerving through traffic as a kid. That could have been the reason. I like the nighttime look on this highway that you're driving on. It's cool. I love the music. It is just a super great track. I'm glad it's in the game. That's about it. I was kind of like jaw dropped when I first saw it in Mario Kart 8 and how they revamped it. So yeah, teenage Josh, kid Josh was out. Mushroom Gorge. It's just a very good track here. I like the mushroom. I like hopping on the mushrooms. The music's good. Just a fun little track. Mushroom Cave is like a good stand-up part. You get to do kind of multiple paths. It's not one path that everyone goes on. I like when it does that a little bit. Not like two completely different paths, but there's two branching paths that pretty much converge shortly as it started. But it's something. It's cool. I like it. It's a fun track. These are good stuff. We had a lot of good tracks. And this is one of them. And then moving on, we have Rock Mountain 3DS. I think this is a good track. A lot of people, I think, like this track, and I think I would agree with them. There's just one that does better in Mario Kart 8. I'll get to that later. But it's alright. It's cool. You're on a mountain. It's rocky. It rocks. Bam. Good commentary here. Moving on, we got Riverside Park, GBA. While the name doesn't sound super crazy, I think it's cool. I like it. Once again, GBA DLC tracks really were going hard, and this is another one of those examples of just a track that I like a lot. It's fun, it's cool, it's a good replayable. While it is very short, probably because it came from the GBA, I still like driving on it. It's fun. Next up, we got Water Park. So this is one that I was very surprised playing on like going back on it, but I really like this track. It's surprising how much I enjoyed it, but it is a very good water track, and it's very good at showing off the zero gravity and how it works in the water. A very good intro track, and it's probably my favorite. I think a lot of people would probably pick Swamp Ruins, which I guess I can't say I blame you too much, but I still like Water Park a lot. It's a good track. Coconut Mall. This is one that everyone loves, and I am no different. Coconut Mall's fun. The music's good. The scenery's good. The track's just a fun track. It is. I really don't have anything bad to say about this track. It's fun. Yeah, that's cool. It's a good track, and I'm glad that it's back in the DLC. It kind of makes the expansion pass worth it in that sense alone. So, play this track. It is a fun one. Wild Woods. This is another one that I'm a little surprised that I liked a lot, but it's here. You're just driving on a giant tree, and that's really it. But I think it's cool. In terms of track design, it's fun. The layout's cool. It has a good sense of difficulty, and I think it's a very all-around, very super neat track. Next up is, let's find out. Maple Treeway, a better tree track by about one here. I love the autumn look, and so I'm definitely a little bit partial to why I think this one's better. I like zooming through the trees, you're flying through them. I like any of the tracks that really shoot you out of a cannon. It definitely gives you points. I don't know, something about the neuron activation when that happens. It's cool. So Maple Treeway is just a simply banger track from the Wii, so that's why it's here. Dragon Driftway. Another original track from the kind of extended Mario Kart 8 original stuff here, but cool, like kind of Chinese dragon, that kind of look to it. You're driving on the backs of like these big giant dragon things. Yeah, it's cool. I like the look. I like the race. The difficulty's pretty solid. It's a fun track, and I like going back to it a lot. Finally, we got my favorite of the tour tracks, which is Amsterdam Drift. I just like this one a lot. I don't know why. It struck with me. I'm like, well, this is fun. It is in a city, but there's at least stuff that you can do. There's like the whole windmill fields that I think is super cool to go through. And I really can't put my finger on it, but I just like this one so much more than any other track. It is a tour track that I actually think is fun, and I can go back to it and actually have some stuff to say that it's fun. I don't know. A tour had a better way of like just designing a track besides it being like, hey, look, you're in a city. Like they could have just made a unrealistic city, but make it at least a fun track. But I don't know. That's a little bit of rambling here. Amsterdam Drift, good track. I like it. Awesome. Now we'll probably move it on to Fantastic. There's only a few for Peak, so the rest will probably be in here. But starting out is Ninja Hideaway. This came from Tour, but put into the DLC. It's a cool track. I am a big Ninja person. I like the look of it. It's a good track. God, it's so cool. The kind of driving on the rooftops. There's the multiple different levels of the buildings you go into. Just, yeah, it really does seem like Ninja Japan, like the Edo period. I like it. It's awesome. It's a super cool track. Next is Daisy Cruiser from the GameCube. Another one that's just you're driving on a giant cruise ship. That's pretty cool. But came from the GameCube, and I'm glad it's back. You get to go below deck at some point, which is kind of cool. Yeah, I just like it. You're just taking a loop on the cruise ship, which is nothing sounding special, but man, a little bit of nostalgia there. I love it. It's a good track. Waluigi Pinball, another fan favorite. Like, this one is unanimously loved. The music's good. It looks good. The track is just a pretty good difficulty, all things considered. I like it. I'm glad it's here. And it's just, yeah, it's fun. There's a little bit of that randomness element of if you're going to get smacked by the pinball. So I think that's neat when that actually is there. Kind of keeps you on your toes and making sure you're not just cruising through. But it's a good track. Definitely a banger Waluigi track, and probably the best if I can think of all of his. So, yeah. Ice Ice Outpost. Another original track from Mario Kart 8, but cool. I like this has like almost a consistent tier track, and it's just a yellow and a green track that are going next to each other the entire time. You can hop between them all the time, so it's not like you're committed to one when you go onto it, but it's still fun, and I just like it. It's, yeah, I don't know, it's a cool track. I like it. It's a good difficulty. It's just good turns, good drifting, that's the stuff. Sunshine Airport, next one, moving on. I think Sunshine Airport is very cool. You're driving through an airport. That's awesome. There's that point where you do go up in like the air a little bit too. You get to do the flying. Obviously, I feel like that would do it a disservice if they didn't have that. So, yeah, it's a good track. It's good. I love it. It's just a lot of good original tracks coming into this game, but a lot of good returning tracks as well. Speaking of returning tracks, DK Summit. I like the half pipey kind of thing you get to do. A lot of like something that they like to do in the Wii is the blue kind of boost pads where it shoots you up in the air, kind of half pipe a little bit. Mechanic you get to go on to, but this is a good track. It helps you. You want to avoid the deep snow, drive on the rest of it. It's a cool mountain track. There's a mountain track that does a lot better, but it's still fun. It's a good track. I'm glad it's back. That's really it. DK Mountain, better DK track, and it's one up. DK Mountain from the GameCube. It's just a super cool track. Once again, kind of in parts of the cannon. I love when you get shot out in the cannon. You get shot to the giant mountain, angry mountain. You got to go down the mountain. It feels chaotic. It feels hectic. It's cool. There's a giant bridge at the end. I don't know. It's an iconic track to me, and it's just peak is what it is. Another one, Koopa Cape. Water track that is fantastic. I love just driving on the water. It just makes you feel like you're going zoomy fast. Awesome. You get to go under like these cool like futuristic tunnels. It's just an all-around cool design track. It's fun. It's fast. I like it a lot. I'm glad it's here. Once again, just keep bringing back the banger tracks. Excite Bike Arena. This is a very cool original track. Once again, taking inspiration from Excite Bike. Go figure. A little thing. It's just a a loop. It's cool. It does kind of change up a little bit. It does a little bit have some randomness into how some of the slopes and how some of that is created. So that's cool. So it's a little bit random on that part, but it's fun. While it is a simple seeming track, and that's really all it is. It's just, I don't know. It really does feel like it embellishes the Excite Bike IP. It does it very well. So I'm glad it's here. It's a cool addition, and I really hope they continue on with like a lot of different other racing IPs, or continue on with Excite Bike stuff, because yeah, it's a cool callback to Excite Bike in general. Next is Yoshi Island. This is new actually. This is Yoshi's Island. So taking inspiration from the game Yoshi's Island on the SNES. It's very Yoshi's Island themed. There's a lot of references in the game. And it's just a cool track. I like it. It's a super unique looking track, and Yoshi's Island is a very unique game. So I'm just very, very stoked. It's a good track. It's fun. I like it a lot. Next up is my favorite GBA one. Yep, Sky Garden. This one is absolute peak, and there's no reason it is not. Sky Garden is just, yeah, it's so fun. I love the sky looks to a lot of these tracks. And my biggest complaint is that it's just simply too short, but it is such a fun track to drive on. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, the clouds, the vines, it's just like a kind of cool, it has like a very mystical fantasy sky theme to it, but yeah, it's awesome. Next is Mute City, the better of the two F-Zero related tracks. Mute City is awesome. It's laps based off of, but I just think design-wise it's just a little cooler, a little bit more fun than Big Blue, but it's awesome. Kind of everything I've said applies there with the speed pads, all that stuff. It's super cool. F-Zero, they really need to stop ignoring that. I know they have F-Zero 99, but like, come on, let's keep that up a little bit more, huh? Next one, I don't know how controversial this one will be, but Baby Park. I feel like people love it or hate it, and I love it. It's just stupid fun. It is the smallest loop you can. It's like, 7 laps, and it's just chaos incarnate. I don't know why. It's a track that does that very well. The music is just insane. Everything about this is just wild, and I love it. It is one that is just, I will always love. Something about this track is just goofy, and it's good. So next is the GameCube's Yoshi circuit in the shape of Yoshi. A lot of curves. It's cool. I don't know. It's just a fun track to drive on. Theming wise, it's not really that crazy. It's just you're driving on a track that is, well, pretty generic, and it is a circuit track. It is shaped in Yoshi, so it at least does something above most other of the Nintendo or Mario characters' circuits. So, being just a very good design track, yeah, it's banger. So moving on to why I kind of just skipped over Rock Mountain. The Shy Guy Falls is so much better. It is such a cool track, mainly like that whole zero gravity driving up the entirety of the waterfall. They go through a little bit of mines. The Shy Guys are just in there. It's just you're driving on a mountain, Shy Guys, and there's a big waterfall. It's cool. It's one of the ones that is, while it's a new track, it does bring into the zero gravity and does it very well. It's probably going to be a very iconic track that's brought back into a lot of other subsequent games after this. So next is Tick Tock Clock on the DS. Well, maybe not my favorite stage in Mario 64. It is definitely one of my favorite stages in the entirety of this game. So especially the DS was a huge banger, and this one's no exception. This one is so good. I love it. It's a cool track. You are driving. It feels very mechanical, like you're on a clock. Go figure. Very reminiscent to how the actual stage was set up in Mario 64. So I think it's a good translation over to a Mario Kart track. So I'm all for it. Keep it up. I'll save these last 5, except I noticed something while making this. There are 5 spots left on my list, but I've skipped 2. One was just recently Music Park. I will actually get that back. It's about like here, in between Baby Park and Mute City. Very fun track. I'm a music guy. I love music. It's just you're driving on like xylophones, other like kind of like xylophones, vibraphones, stuff like that. It's cool. There's the big music note dudes. Everything lights up as you're driving on it, and like pianos and stuff. It's just a cool looking track. It's a fun track to drive on. Good stuff. And now I gotta figure out, where the hell does Mario Circuit on the DS go? Another Mario Circuit that is so unbelievably forgettable. Aha, right here. And you're going actually in trash, because it was right between Berlin Byways and the other Mario Circuit. Actually, it was... Yeah, no, it was under Berlin Byway, so yeah, that's where I'm going to put you. Another track that I just apparently forgot about so much that I just completely skipped over it. I think that says all I need to say about that track, huh? Alright, well now I have the last 5. These are the ones I consider to just be absolute peak. Starting at number 5, Electrodrome. This one is it's a techno-y track, kind of does what Music Park does and better. It's just, love the look of it, the theme's cool, the song's awesome. Just all around, just a fun track to drive on. It's just this bop-in electro kind of techno look to it. It's a heater track. Rainbow Road N64. This probably would be like my all-time favorite track, except they made it worse than this one, but still peak. My whole biggest issue is it's a giant lap instead of. It was a very long track from N64, and so they turned it into a tiered track here in this game. I'm not a big fan and not super crazy about how that is in this, so that's kind of why it gets stuck here. At the 4th spot. But I love the music. I like how they made it look in this game. I think the original one will be one of my favorite tracks of all time. It's just so good. So I'm glad it's here. It's just, I feel like they just did it. They just kind of tweaked it when they really didn't need to tweak it. So Rainbow Road, sorry, but I love it. It's all the same. It is just such a fun, iconic track. It'll probably be never be top, but it'll be the best Rainbow Road track ever. So moving on to 3, Cloud Top Cruise. Gusty Garden Galaxy, need I say more? A rendition of Gusty Garden Galaxy for this, being another Sky themed one. I like Sky Garden a lot, but this is just a probably better one. That's why it's here. You gotta go through a thundercloud at some point, and you gotta avoid all the lightning strikes, which is cool. There's the battle, or the airship you have to go on it at some point, which is also cool. It's just the giant vines. It's just a very constructed, well thought out track, and it is very cool, very visually appealing, and that's probably one of the best things. The music's also great, and it's just a good challenge, fun stuff. My favorite retro track is Piranha Plant Slide from the 3DS. This is definitely one of my favorites from the 3DS era of that track, so I'm glad it's here. And they really didn't do anything to muck it up on like Rainbow Road on the N64. The slides look cool. It's a giant like water slide thing with piranha plants. I don't really know why piranha plants were the choice, but I don't care. It's the best like water track where you get to go underwater. It does feel like you're kind of in slides, tunnels, a little sewery almost, but I think it's just cool. It's such a cool design track, so yeah. Piranha Plant Slide, it's definitely super biased on that, but I love it, so. And then of course, I feel like this one, it might be an obvious pick, but I really can't do much else beside it. Mount Wario, number 1. As I said, Wario tops from having one of my least favorite tracks in Wario Stadium to my favorite track. I think a lot of people might say this is one of the best tracks, at least. Maybe not their favorite, but up there. Mount Wario is just kind of what it does Mario Kart amazing. It's a mountain track. You're kind of like, almost like skiing down it. You spend the entire time going down this mountain. It's super chaotic, hectic. You go through like a forest at some point. The last ones you're kind of like, skiing. Like going through those, what's the word? I don't know. Ski things. It's like a ski slope. It's like the slalom. I don't know. That's the word. I'm gonna put it up on screen right now. Boom. Let's just,
Slalom.
That word. Yeah. It's such a cool. It's a tiered track, which I'm kind of like go back and forth on how much I like them because I like doing laps sometimes, but it's just such a fun track. And then you kind of just it just feels like multiple races in one. I don't know how to explain it other than that, but like you're like skiing, but you're also racing in karts. I don't know. A lot of the ice mountain kind of tracks like DK Summit also have this very cool look to it. How they do it is awesome. But Mount Wario is just something special. It is definitely the standout from the original game, and even with all the DLC, it just couldn't be topped. This one and like Cloud Cop Cruise, I've definitely gone back and forth on which I like a little bit more. But I have to say Mount Wario is it's probably the best one. Yeah. So that's the list. Here it is. One more time, I'm going to show it off. And can I get the whole picture in frame here? Let me know what you guys think. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. Yeah, I wanted to do a more of a ranking system, but since there's so many tracks and not a lot I could say about each one individually, I just felt I would do a tier list, more of them. So yeah, that's it. I will find a way to end this video, but this might be the end of it either. So if that's all you got, drop a like, subscribe, whatever you need to do. And let me know if you guys want to see more stuff similar to this, or just some sort of ranking stuff, or tell me to never rank again. Do what you want. Other than that, I'll see you guys. Have a good night. Bye.